Alright, you guys, you wanted it. I didn't want this, but we're here. We're doing it. It is Tebow time down in Jacksonville. Let's go ahead and talk all things Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow was drafted 25th overall to the Denver Broncos, and Josh McDaniels, yes, that Josh McDaniels, in the 2010 draft. Tebow would not see much of the field in 2010. He got his first start against the Oakland Raiders December 19th, where they would fall 23-19. He had 8 completions for 138 yards and 1 touchdown. He also carried the ball 8 times for 78 yards and a touchdown. He then played the Houston Texans, and boy did he give the Denver Broncos a great Christmas present, albeit late. They beat the Houston Texans 24-23. He had 16 completions, 308 yards, 1 touchdown to 1 interception. He also carried the ball 10 times for 27 yards and a touchdown. The Denver Broncos would finish up the season against the San Diego Chargers, where they unfortunately would lose 28-33. He had 16 completions, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 13 carries, 94 yards, 1 touchdown. He finished the 2010 season 40 of 81, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, with 199 rush yards and another 3 touchdowns. All looked well in Denver, but in 2011, we all know the story. Kyle Orton would start, and the Denver Broncos they weren't hot. They were 1-4 when Tebow came in, and when Tebow comes in, he takes over for Kyle Orton, but it was against the San Diego Chargers, where they would narrowly lose 26-29, and the consensus was, we just needed one more possession, a little bit more time, we could have won this game. Okay? And then on October the 23rd, 2011, it happened. What is it? It's Tebow time. That's what happened. I was a Raider fan back in the day, and let me tell you, I heard way too much Tebow time. But his stats were 13 for 27. He had 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also carried the ball 9 times for 59 yards. As we all know, Tebow, he wasn't playing well. I mean, he had 161 yards. Okay, that's not good. But he wielded his team to victory in overtime, where they kicked a late field goal. Obviously, it was late if it was overtime. They beat the Miami Dolphins 18-15. This would start a trend where Tebow would win 7, including this game. He'd win 7 of his next 8. He would win against the Raiders 38-24. They were leading, the Oakland Raiders, they were leading at halftime, okay? And he comes back. The Denver Broncos rushed for about 300 yards on them boys, okay? I remember the game. I don't want to talk about it anymore. They beat Kansas City 17-10. This is that game where Tebow only threw like 2 passes. He completed 2 passes or something like that. Something insane like that. But they won 17-10. The New York Jets. This is going to be a little bit of irony right here, but we'll get back to that in a minute. They won 17-13. San Diego, the Chargers, they would win. They had avenged that loss earlier in the season. 16-13 in overtime. Minnesota 35-32, and Chicago 13-10. But we all remember, I believe it was Marion Barber who stepped out of bounds and who cost the not the Denver Broncos, but the Chicago Bears that game. After winning this, the Denver Broncos, they had a nice 8-5 record. After this, they would lose their next 3. They lose to New England 23-41, Buffalo 14-40, Kansas City, Kyle Orton of all people, they lose 3-7. If you're wondering, that one game that they lost in the middle of Tebow time, it was to the Detroit Lions, where they were beaten soundly. Any team that was decent, any playoff team, it looked like they couldn't hang with them. Okay, so let's talk playoffs. Even though they lost their last three in somewhat very embarrassing fashion in each game, one being to New England, who they would get smashed by in the playoffs, as we know, later on in the season, by Buffalo, who wasn't even a playoff team, 14-40, and to lose to Kyle Orton, the guy who you would blame for all your troubles in Denver in the past, and to lose 3-7. With all that being said, the Oakland Raiders had a chance to win the division. If they beat the San Diego Chargers, they would have been 9-7. However, they lost, meaning the Denver Broncos were able to back into a playoff. It seemed like Tebow time was over. But then came January 8th, 2012. Does anybody remember that game? Well, I do. Let's talk about this. Tebow time seemed to be over. The team had lost 3 straight to 3 decent teams. And then Big Ben, they're going to come into Denver. A game to this day that I say should have been played in Oakland, but I'm going to therapy to get that worked out. There is no way, not the Denver Broncos, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are the reigning AFC champions. They're going to come in and them boys, right? Wrong. Tebow pulled off his magic one more time. He had 10 completions on 21 attempts, 316 yards and 2 touchdowns, including that bomb to Demaryius Thomas. We've all seen it. Yes, that one right there. We've all seen it. He also had another 50 yards rushing and 1 more touchdown. They would beat the Steelers in overtime, 23-29. Tebow time was alive and well. But 6 days later, the Denver Broncos would play the New England Patriots in Gillette Stadium, January 14th, 2012. These stats are a little bit ugly, so let's not read them except for the score. 45-10. You know what? Let's read them. He was 9 of 26 for 136 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Tebow time was officially over, whether we believed it or not. In the 2012 offseason, the Denver Broncos would sign Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was released from the Indianapolis Colts after a neck surgery. The Colts would end up taking Andrew Luck with the first overall pick later on. After Manning was signed, Tebow was traded to the New York Jets, where he would never start again. Tebow, with his time with the Jets, was a gadget player. He had 6 completions on 8 attempts for 39 yards. He had 32 carries for 102 yards. And unfortunately, that was it for Mr. Tebow. He would make 2 more stops, one in 2013 with the New England Patriots, where he did not make the team, and yet again with Chip Kelly in the Philadelphia Eagles in 2015, where he again did not make the team. Now, news coming out, he is signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars and his old head coach Urban Meyer. And this led Greg McElroy, he was a backup to the backup. To the backup? He was there, okay? He was on the team, and he had this to say. Tim ran 4.8 for the 40-yard dash. Taysom Hill runs 4.4. McElroy says, they're just 2 totally different players. Tim is a good dude, and I hope the best for him, but it's a sideshow, and that's what it will become in training camp. Harsh words. He also said something along the lines of, we tried to make him a tight end in New York. He just wasn't good. So you guys, here's the question. Do you want Tebow time? Do you not want Tebow time? Is this just a sideshow? What are we doing? Is he just a good locker room guy? Is he really in shape? Can he block? Can he take a hit? Well, that all waits to be seen. We'll have more Tim Tebow as news breaks with Tim Tebow. Until then, you guys, I am out. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.